And if you think that you can just apply for a piece of work in many countries and in many organizations, that's actually seen as illegal. You're just giving you a piece of work, and you don't do anything. You just subcontract it out.
Say it one more time. Say it one more time. Now again,
you know.
again, Adrian did not rehearse. Adrian, in most countries, that's considered what? Hey, thank you for coming to the channel. As you know, my name is Curtis A. Merriweather Jr. In 2020, I was named a game changer by the White House Policy Advisor for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. But today, I'm going to be serving as your government contracting coach. Now, before we get into an amazing topic today, I just want to tell you very briefly about our channel. Now, our channel is dedicated to the entrepreneurs. Our goal is to help you overcome common business challenges through education, consultation, and just overall training experience. Now, one of the things that separates us from other channels is that we're based on both practical as well as theoretical education. As many of you guys know, I got an MBA, I got a master's in project management, and I'm finishing up a PhD in business management in February. So, matter of fact, as of the date of this recording, within 40 days, I'll be defending my dissertation. But it's enough about that. This channel is really dedicated to you. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions as of late. Kurt, how do I work with you? You can go to 8-Figure GovCon, and you can browse our website and see a lot of our course library and a lot of our course offerings. Now, for those who just want to jump right to the meat and potatoes, you can browse to our course library. Now, until the end of this month, this is going to be January 31st, 2023. You can take advantage of a 20% discount code on all of the courses in our library. Now, that coupon code is going to expire at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at the end of January. So January 31st, 2023, that coupon code will expire. But if you purchase a course or any one of our offerings from our course library, you will get that 20% code, but just make sure to put in GovCon 2023. All righty. Now, I have an interesting conversation for you guys today. But before we jump into that topic, one thing I want to remind you of is if you have not already, I need you to subscribe, like, share, and leave me a comment. Now, because of the comments that you guys leave me, it gives me titles and content. I bring special guests on from time to time. I bring my friends and practitioners in the space that I know can provide value to your lives, especially on your government contracting journey. Now, we're not just a government contracting channel, although that's what most people know me for. We are a business channel. Now, as this channel progresses throughout this year, you're going to see more content. We're going to still talk about government contracting, of course, but we're going to talk about private equity. We're going to talk about finance, and we're going to also talk about real estate, because those are just the things that interest me, and I want to share my life with you. So, like, share, subscribe. That way when we drop a new video, you'll be the first one to get a notification, and turn on the bell. Get all the notifications. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, I got a question a few weeks ago, especially for the government contracting community that was not in the continental United States. And so, there was a few years ago that I met a gentleman on a social media app, and we would do these rooms together. And his name is Adrian. So I want to introduce my friend to you guys, Mr. Adrian Betton. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, my brother, I'm good. How about yourself? Really good
Man,
to see you today.
it's good. We were supposed to spend some time together. Matter of fact, next week, but because of travel changes, I'm not going to be able to make it to the UK now. But I'm looking forward to seeing you very, very soon and spending some time with you and breaking some bread. Now, Adrian is a friend of mine. And when people ask me, I say Adrian is the global version of me. So I know the FAR and all the regulations from a government contract in the U.S. very well. And of course, that's all the 4 operating bases, anywhere where the United States has a presence, which is some international spaces. But if you're interested in doing business with other governments other than the federal government, Adrian is going to be a great resource for you. I met Adrian actually on Clubhouse about a couple years ago. We would do these rooms in government contracting. You remember that, Adrian? And we would do these sessions on international government contracting. So today, just by way of title, just by way of title, we're going to talk about government contracting for global citizens. So if you're not in the U.S., you have no desire to do business in the U.S., but you want to do business in the global sphere. We're talking more than $7 trillion of opportunity globally. I forget what the actual exact number was, but it was in excess of $7 trillion the last time I looked. So Adrian is the guy that can help you with that. Now, one thing about me, and Adrian knows this, I'm very honest about what I do and what I don't know. So when it comes to international stuff, Adrian is the person that I call. When it comes to U.S. stuff, he may pick up the phone and call me. But when it comes to international stuff, Adrian is the person I call. Now, Adrian serves as a procurement and innovation strategy director. He's an engineer like me. He's been in this space for quite some time. I think engineers make the best entrepreneurs, by the way, Adrian. But I'm not going to steal any more thunder. Go ahead and just kind of give some people some background, Adrian, about who you are and how did you get into this space?
Wow. First of all, I just want to say thank you for inviting me. It's a real pleasure. I'm looking forward to doing this as much as possible. And welcome to everybody that's joining us as well. So yeah, my name is Adrian Betton. As you can hear by my accent, I come from the British Isles, born in the British Isles, but my parents are from the West Indies and family from Africa and all of these different places like that. But I'm here in the UK doing something very similar to what Curtis is doing in the US. And so when like minds meet, that's what happens. My name, so you know my name, I am a director of procurement, innovation and strategy at Help My Bid, which is a procurement consultancy that helps service a number of different spheres and regions across UK and the world as well. So I've been in this space now for over 2 decades, across a very wide branch of sectors, a very, very wide range of categories, a very, very wide range of spaces. So not just small contracts or big contracts, but everything all in between, special projects, all across different genres. And that's really helped me learn a lot more about procurement, about business strategy, about what happens behind those doors of those decisions that we don't get to see. I've learned about how the inner workings of things happen. And the good thing about when you're involved in procurement happens a number of years before the project happens, so to speak, or before you see a shovel in the ground for something that might have been purchased, or a building or something that's been constructed. Procurement is happening a number of years before that. And so we have insight into what's happening. And so that insight could be across the world, it could be across that city. And that insight allows you to move more strategically because you know what's coming. If you know what's coming, you can plan for it, adjust for it, and you can use that to your advantage. And that's what the consultancy I own and direct, that's what we help you with. Procurement strategy, innovation, and making sure that you get into these corporate spheres. That's what we do.
No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Now, if I remember when I looked at your bio, you've been doing procurement for how many years now?
This is, well, I started in the year 2000. So yeah, this is the year 23. So if you can imagine that. So all of this millennia, I can say.
Wow. You know, you and I had an opportunity to talk about some upcoming procurements in other countries and just, you know, how you come in and you kind of, and correct me if I misspeak, but you kind of are the consultant for governments and major, very large Fortune 500 companies when they want to do very large acquisitions or procure big things. You're one of the people that they call.
Correct. Yeah, I'm fortunate enough that I consult for some of these agencies, consult for some of these government organizations, especially when they're trying to understand how we do it in the UK, what works well, what doesn't work well, what strategies people can use, why we do something, which is a big thing, you know, why do we do it in the order that we do it? Why do we siphon it off into these areas? Why do we combine in these areas? What is the reason behind that? Because that ultimately affects somebody's strategy. So for you so you might be supplying into a government or supplying into an organization. If you can understand the why, what they're trying to achieve, why they're trying to achieve it, that allows you to be more strategic in what package you put forward, makes you much more successful.
You know, you brought up something which I was not planning on talking about, but I'm gonna talk about it because I think it's a
We
great
can do it.
segue. You talked about this word called strategy. Now, I see a lot of new government contractors who believe they can go on whatever their contracting board is. We're not going to be specific because I know we're talking about international. And their strategy is just bidding whatever they see pop up on the board, which, you know, I reject that strategy. So how do you help your clients, especially, you know, either folks that want to move into a new space or new companies? We have a lot of newbies here, or those who are looking to take their business to the next level. How do you help them devise a strategy to become more proactive instead of reacting to, you know, in the US is sam.gov, where you are is something else? How do you help your clients to step away from being reactionary and being more proactive in their approach?
That's a really, really good question. This is what we call, you know, the difference between strategy and, just as you said, reacting. Let's just start here. Majority of the people that start up an organization, a business, whatever, they come with this entrepreneurial mind. Yeah, and an entrepreneurial mind, especially in these last few years, let's just say this last decade, has been what you see highlighted is the mind of a disruptor. Yeah, and a disruptor is somebody that comes into a space and tries to create something completely new and change it up and what have you. Now, I'm not saying that that isn't good, but ultimately, when you're working in some spaces, even a disruptor has to do research, has to do understanding, has to do their due diligence when it comes to analyzing a sector that they're going in. And what some of the things that we look at when we're looking at strategy would be who, what, where, why, people, all the W's, as into why people are doing something. That will give you the most strategic edge. If we bring it down to an example of maybe how you might approach shopping in your house, in your own home, there are reasons why you buy things, the days that you go out and do the shopping, how much you spend. You will have a buying pattern which is for the Merriweather family. Yeah. So and so if somebody was to look at that, they might be able to predict, okay, well, every Monday he goes out and does this type of shopping. Every Wednesday he does this type of shopping, or somebody else does this type of shopping. So that's the who, in the who holds the budget, who holds the strings, who those kind of discussions. The same thing happens with an organization. And so the strategy that we need to start to consider is, where are these organizations? So where is that home located? Be it a multinational, be it a government, be it any type of corporate, which country is it in? Now, what type of organization are they? Are they do they have homes in different places? And so are they buying from more than one home? Or is it just one organization, one city that they're buying? Where is it? And then you think about things like, why are they buying what they buy for? What is the reason? Is there a project coming up? Is there something that's they buy every year, annually, seasonally? Is it linked to something? If you're buying for schools, you're doing delivering work for schools, there's going to be school seasons, there's going to be term seasons that happen. If you're buying for, I don't know, let's say a pharmaceutical company, maybe they have some products which are seasonal as well, which they bring out only over Christmas, or they bring out, over the all of this type of due diligence that you do helps you understand where you contact, who you contact, what they might be looking for, what time and day you contact them. Also, the season that they might be looking for, and that gives you a bit of strategy. Because if you were to look at somebody that has a similar buying pattern to yourself, let's just say this school or this organization that you're talking to, it's very likely that another school could have a similar pattern. And so if you was to approach them at the same time, you might be ticking some of their boxes. I come from it, I've come from a sales background as well, so I understand sales. And a lot of us entrepreneurial minds, we want to go in and sell, sell, sell. But now sitting the other side of the fence for how many years now, and being the buyer, there are things that we can do which make our jobs, our sales into these organizations much easier. And that's what we label strategy. And ultimately, what I say is, why are they doing what are they doing? What are they doing? When are they doing it? That will give you so much advantage when you're trying to put something together. An entrepreneurial mind once has come up with something, and we're used to having all the fireworks go off. Wouldn't it be brilliant if they can do this? Wouldn't it be brilliant if we can do A, B, and C, and do it? All of those things, and we have all of these ideas, and we create a product and a strategy, and we start going out, and we're trained as salesperson, ring on bells or send emails or knock on doors. Yes, it can work. I'm not saying it can't work. Obviously, there's a whole industry out there, but the ones that are keener, the ones that are more successful, are the ones that understand why the person behind that door is buying something, when they need it, and what they want. And ultimately, it is the buyer that holds the power as opposed to the salesperson. If you can work with the buyer, the person that's actually going to buy whatever you need, what they need, they'll tell you, I need a green table and 3 red chairs. And that will allow you to create your product that is a green table and 3 red chairs, as opposed to saying, do you know what? I've come up with the best golden chair that there is out there, or the best golden skateboard that's out there, and try and sell it into everybody and anything that has a heartbeat that moves. So we can apply strategy by some due diligence. So that's what we do. We understand what the organization is looking for, why they're looking for it, what similar companies or what the trends are. And it's just a little bit of time, but instantly light bulbs come on, and that illuminates the strategy that you should follow to go forward.
No, that's good. So you help companies identify the what, the where, the when, the where, and the
All of that,
how. I think,
exactly right.
and that's
Yeah,
how
yeah,
you
yeah.
help your strategy. We teach the same thing. We do a whole section on competitive advantage. I think that's one of the things that separates, and reason why we've had the success we've had. We've won billions of dollars in contract opportunities over the last, I've been doing this now for 13 years, 26 years, 13 years as an owner. So we've been at this for 13 years.
Right.
And I tell companies, we will never be able to have that success if we didn't have a strategy. So when I see companies who are just chasing opportunities because they see it on the bulletin board, I let them know that's not a robust strategy. But you need to figure out what is the value that you're providing. What problem, number one, are you solving? Number two, in solving that problem, what product or service solution are you bringing to the table? And then 3, why are they picking you? Out of all of the businesses,
Really good question.
why are they picking you? But it sounds like you help them reverse engineer.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, you mentioned the bulletin board. Even a bulletin board can be a great source of information. Sometimes people react to things on a bulletin board without waiting to just see. How often does that come up on the bulletin board? Have you looked at that? When did it come up the last time? What size was it for? Who was it awarded to? Why was it? How much? That can predict a trend for you. If you know something's going to come up once a year, fair enough. It's worth putting all this extra effort in it. But if it comes up once a week, it's different, isn't it? You can be more selective in what you choose. You can then also.
No, that's good stuff. Adrian, you brought up a good point. I think sometimes there's a notion where product can become commoditized. I talk about this often, where sometimes you'll have a solution and the solution can become commoditized because it becomes familiar with the government. It becomes familiar with the government, and sometimes solutions become commoditized. And this is something that we talk about often, where opportunities sometimes, because of the frequency of them, like you talked about, they're coming up every week, or it comes up frequently. Those things become commoditized. When they become commoditized, the price goes down. We try to push them to where the trends are going. Like I got a question a couple of days ago about, hey, I want to be in the IT space. I said, well, great. I want to do cyber. I said, well, cyber is a great space. It's very needed. It's very valuable. However, we're not getting the bill rates in cyber we were getting 5 years ago. Now, if you want the higher bill rates, it's going to be in artificial intelligence and machine learning. So like you said earlier, understanding the trends based on the space you're in. But when you are just being reactive, I'm bidding something because I saw it on a bulletin board or whatever, whatever government we're talking about. It doesn't allow you to develop deep roots in the organization. But this is a popular strategy that I hear, because will it put a quick dollar in your pocket today? Yes. However, it does not allow the organization to build a deep, firm foundation that can be built upon. And not only that, the bigger ticket opportunities are for the companies who, number one, they've identified a very strong strategy. They understand the buying trends and behaviors of their customers. They understand the mission and vision of their customers, and then they adapt their solution to meet the needs of the customer. So, how important is that? Because I know one of the things you really help people do is put their proposals in. I get a bunch of questions on this channel about proposals. How is that helpful when it comes to proposal development?
That's a really good question. So from the buying point of view, we've got to understand the reason why I'm buying is because there's something that I want to deliver on behalf of the organization. There's a reason behind what I'm doing. And so I will craft the questions that I ask of the contractors or the people that bid as a result of that. So the more that you can understand and the more that you develop a stronger base, you can reflect that in your paperwork or what you submit. So when I ask you for 3 years of experience or 5 years of experience, or when I ask you for similar projects that you've done in the space, when I ask for that type of history for me to analyze, it's easier for you to produce that. So again, it depends on the size and nature of your business. But yes, I appreciate that smaller companies newer companies may have what we call a scattergun effect, where they go for everything that moves and they gradually develop into something. That's fine. I understand that. But, as you said, when you're looking for when we're looking at serious money here, millions and millions of pounds or dollars or whatever currency you want to talk about, what will happen is we're going to look for somebody who has the experience and the nature in delivering that. And so when you pull your bid together, you want to be able to pull together examples. You want to be able to pull together a historic reference that we can interrogate that looks like this is somebody that does this as their core business. In fact, I had a very, very large construction tender which I was managing to look for a framework, a set of companies to help deliver construction across all of the City of London. So it was about 800 million in the order of that effect. And one of the questions that I asked the bidders was, what was your turnover? And what was of that turnover, what percentage was attributed to construction projects like we're looking at here? What was the reason I asked that? The reason why I asked that, I wanted to understand how important this size of project is to you as opposed to us, because it could be both. It can go somewhere. Maybe let's just say a project I was going to award might start at 10 million, 15 million, 20 million as an example. If 90% of your business was in the 20,000 space, maybe this might not be the right project for you. And consequently, if the majority of your business is in the 100 million space, maybe a 10, 20 size contract might not be as important. It affects how you respond to what we want to do. And so we would ask very specific questions. And so those are the things that I need to understand. But when I'm trying to help people pull together their bids, is just to pull something that conveys confidence across to the reader, conveys understanding that you understand what we're doing and why we're doing it, and conveys confidence that we're thinking, yes, this is what we might call a sweet spot. This is something that this is what they do on a regular play. We want to interact with this type of organization. And so, there are questions that we ask as buyers when we pull together our tender packs or whatever it is that you need to fill in to come to convey this information to us. There are real reasons behind that. It's not that we're trying to catch you out. we are trying to assess the best thing for our organization.
No, dude. This is amazing. And just to recap, Adrian is a buyer. So right now, while we're having this conversation, you're getting an inside look at what customers are looking at.
Right.
In my space, we call it contracts. When we look at past performance, we look at past performance or track record for those maybe new to the space. We want to look at track record of similar size, scope,
That's right.
and complexity. So when I
That's
see
right.
companies that are just, trying to bid everything that comes along, they're normally not positioned to grow that point. Can you make a couple of dollars doing that? Absolutely. But if you really want to be taken seriously in this space, Adrian gave us a great word. The buyer's looking for a core competency. What is it that you can do better than anyone else? Now, I know that's a big grandiose statement, better than anyone else, but what is it that you do that no one else can do quite like you? And that's the thing that I try to get our students to do and not be reactive. Now, I'm gonna throw a question at you that we have not discussed, but I got a question earlier today. If you ran across a company who said, "Hey, I want to do business in the UK, but I don't want to do any of the work. I just want to subcontract all of the work and reap a residual." As a buyer, what would you say to that person?
As a buyer, no, the government wouldn't, or it depends on what space you're in. Let me be really honest. Depends on what space you're in. There are many organizations that act as a managing agent and subcontract all the work out. There are many organizations and some brilliant ones that do so. There's no question about it. And sometimes us as a buyer, we are looking for that organization. We're looking to award a contract to a prime contractor who will manage a variety of agents to deliver the work. Construction space is a perfect example to see that. But that does not apply to everything, is one thing I would say. It applies to where it is going to be beneficial for us to have somebody manage all of that. But the words that you use, I love the words that you use. I don't want to do the work, I just want to subcontract out. That's not reality. You're going to have a work to do. Even managing subcontractors, even managing a raft of contractors and companies is work, and it takes a strategy to do so. And if you think that you can just apply for a piece of work, in many countries and in many organizations, that's actually seen as illegal. You're just giving you a piece of work, and you don't do anything. You just subcontract it out.
Say it one more time. Say it one more time. Now, again, and Adrian did not rehearse this. Adrian, in most countries, that's considered what?
It's considered illegal because they might want to see you deliver a majority percentage of that work that you've applied to. But as I said before, it depends on the nature and the sector that you're in. So there are some sectors where that is right. You might not be the person doing the doing, but you manage all of those doing the doing. And that can be a huge task. If you're doing a project on behalf of a large organization and you're managing 200-300 suppliers to deliver pieces of work, that's what we call a managing agent. But most people, the words that you use are kind of like somebody that's saying, I want to apply for something, but I want to just palm it off to a number of people, and then try and reap the glory as if I did the work. And that's not what we're looking for. When we appoint you, we will appoint you for a reason. So if I want you to manage people, I will tell you, and you would have to demonstrate that in your paperwork to me, and I would evaluate that in such a light. And if I'm not looking for that,
No, that's good. This question comes up a lot because of some of the marketing. I call it attraction marketing that's happening. But even in the United States, the FAR prohibits a lot of that. But you'll be surprised at how often I get that question. And it has become a reoccurring theme that I have been trying not to have to deal with as much, because what you'll find is there's these camps that for whatever reason want to believe that that's reality, And in fact, it's not. It's not reality. And the FAR is very specific. We have to do the majority of the work, especially for services. You got to do at least 51% of the work. Submitting an invoice, coordinating and scheduling is not that. So, it's great because you gave us some perspective from you gave us some buyer's perspective. So I'm very appreciative because, I've been saying this and folks get mad at me, but it's the law. Unless that contract is actually asking you to do that, it is not an expectation. The FAR is very clear. You got to do a majority of the work. Often you'll hear the 51-49 split. I even tell companies that the company who does the most work. So say I got a company who does 51-49 all the time, and I got another company that does 70-30 all the time. The company who does the majority of the work, say the 70% company, so that's their operating tempo. We're going to do 70% of the work. That company is stronger, healthier, probably more profitable, and it's developed a lot more organizational rigor. And is normally going to be better equipped to take on larger contracts faster than the one who made it a habit of subbing everything out.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that just for people's understanding as well, if we want you to collaborate with other organizations to deliver the work, we're going to indicate that. And sometimes that's very, very appropriate to do so. Yeah. But we would still expect the two things. We'd expect you to know who within that collaboration of 1, 2, 3, 4, how many ever you want, who is the lead organization. We'd expect you to identify that. And that lead organization is ultimately the one that takes on the highest responsibility, the highest level of accountability to do with this project. And ultimately, when we look at, unfortunately, when projects go down, they'll be the one that will be standing in the dock as into why did you do A, B, and C. A lead organization, might take the bulk of the income, but they also take the bulk of the responsibility, and we expect them to do so.
That's good, and that's fair. But I'm seeing a lot of similarities between how we do business in the U.S. versus how a lot of other countries do business globally.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of similar. In the U.S., we have the FAR, the Federal Acquisition Regulation. Is there a procurement regulation in the UK like there is similar in the U.S.? In the U.S., we have the Federal Acquisition Regulation. What is it called in the UK?
So in the UK, we've got something called a PCR, Public Contracts Regulation. That's specifically around anything that's public sector. And if you're working in a corporate, a private entity, each individual entity will have their procurement rules as into what they have to do. So that they might have an individual, say you was doing Google or a bank or whatever it was, you would have that. But predominantly, and one that people go to on a regular time, is the PCR regulations. But what you'll find, we're talking about internationally, that each country has its own set of procurement rules. And, a simple search on a search engine by putting in procurement regulations and you put in the country, I don't know, Dubai, South Africa, whoever it is, will bring up a set of rules which you can look at, and it will show you the principles by which they go through. And you'll be surprised, majority of the countries have them, and how strict they are, obviously, is relative to the country that they're in, but majority are very, very strict, especially when you are spending public money. And the reason behind that, a proper insight as well, which will apply in the same in the US, across, Canada's, West Indies, everywhere that you can think of, Asia. The reason why this is so important that you understand these regulations or how it applies to you is because that organization, if they don't adhere to it, they can be prosecuted for not adhering to it. So when I'm working in central government or any of these areas, healthcare, all of these, if I do not adhere to the procurement regulations, the organization that I might be consulting in could be sued as a result of that, because we have not awarded the contracts in a fair manner. The regulations are there to make sure that both parties are treated fairly. So you might as well call it a legal document, and it is a legal document, to be fair.
No, that's good. So when you work with companies and they say, "Hey, Adrian, I want to do work in Saudi Arabia, and this just for sake of argument, let's say they're a brand new company, they have never done business any at all. Maybe they worked for an organization before, and they hear this this video, and they say, hey, I want to do work in Saudi Arabia, I want to do work in Nigeria or Lagos. How would you help them to begin navigating that process?
That's a really good question. All right, okay. So we're going to start right at the beginning. Ultimately, I'm going to be asking you questions. Do you have connections in these countries? What do you know? What is it that you're looking for? Do you have a presence? That is a very key question. Do you have a presence in there as the organization who would be applying for this work? There's a lot of countries which you could try to win contracts, but they won't award you because you're not a national to that company, so that country. Yeah, that then it gives you the ability to apply strategy, as we're talking about before. So let's start right at the beginning. Let's say you do have a presence there. Do you have a bank account? Do you have background in delivering this work? And then it's going to be just as similar as if you are in any other country. We're going to go and look at where the trends are, understand what they require, where they're advertising, who they're who they're contracting with presently, and what's out there. That's just like the same in any other question, any other country. But if you're not, let's just say you don't have presence, you have to then start making a decision as into, do you set up presence in that country? Or, especially for people that are new, you're probably the best bet and your quickest bet to get in is to go in as a secondary contractor, as a second tier contractor, a subcontractor to a prime that has a presence in there. The quickest way, I'm part of the courses that I teach about being collaborative. This is exactly about being collaborative with people that are around, organizations that are around. When I've done work in other countries, I've been brought in quicker than me trying to go up and set up a whole new organization, banking, insurance, and all of this. I've been brought in quicker by delivering pieces of work for other organizations. I'm still getting paid. I'm still delivering what I need to do. My company's still getting paid, but they are already there. Benefit that gives you is obviously they've got eyes on the ground. They understand the culture. In each country that you want to trade, there's going to be a cultural difference. Just like in each state that you might be in, that one state might do it this way and another state might do it that way. And having understanding of what the nature is, what is the protocol for the area that you're going in, again, allows you to apply the correct strategy. So when I was doing, I've been doing some work in Dubai recently, and to show you how collaboration can work well for you, I was over there doing some training, procurement training, buying training, and I was over there in Dubai, but I was also training, the people that I was training were from the largest oil company in Nigeria. Wow. So if you can imagine, that's two jumps, coming from the UK to the Dubai, and then that company again already had connections with these large organizations within Nigeria, and so the benefit of collaborating with people, still using your skill set, still understanding where it's stronger for you to work and deliver pieces of work, that will allow you to apply that type of strategy. And obviously, sometimes working with other organizations allows you to understand what is happening in that area before you get there. Starting from scratch is very difficult. You're better off getting involved as a second tier kind of contractor, not the prime, basically. And that will allow you to also build up a roster, a background, a track record of projects that you've delivered, again, in that area, in that nature, and what have you, so that when you're ready to set up your own, you're already set up. You have everything ready for you. So that's what part of the strategy I would advise and start with. Let's try and understand who you know, who you're contacted with. Can we go in as a prime or a second contact? Do I need to be present? Sometimes you have to have a passport for that organization, so that country that you're trying to get into. All of this has can protract. It's not that it's not possible. It's just that it protracts the length of time before you can actually get in there. Do you have a bank account? The minimum, can you get a bank account in that country? Can you trade in that currency? All of these things. So, I trade in other countries, but I'm partnered with nationals that are in these other countries because of said reasons. About how we need to get in and what needs to happen. And sometimes, just like in many countries, they do not want to give out these contracts to people outside of their borders or not national, or patronize that because of security as well. So
Of course.
there's a number of elements that feed into that being
Now,
international.
for a new company, and now this is what I tell newbies. Now, there's ways, of course, you can lengthen or shorten this process. But when new companies come to me, they've never done business with the federal government. I'm trying to set them up to win millions, not tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. I'm trying to set them up to win millions. I normally tell them 18 to 24 months.
Yeah, that's a good
What
idea.
is the timeline you provide when talking to new companies to say, hey, I'm from the US and I want to do business in the UK? What is the timeline you typically give them?
I think 18 to 24 months is a very realistic period of time. Again, it depends if they're going on as a prime.
So you said 12 to 18 months is a reasonable time frame. If they're going to be a prime contractor, how long are you going to give them?
That's a really good question. I think that 18 to 24 months is quite a realistic, and that's for somebody that already has experience. If you haven't got experience, it could be 24 to 36. There's factors that come into this. So let's think about it. You think about one, you're going to have to get a presence, then you're going to have to get a bank account and all the insurances and all the bits that sit with that. Then you're going to have to do your marketing, understand what areas you're going to be in, and then you're going to need to get a track record. So there's different ways that you're going to need to. So that's quite a bit of work that people need to do. Very rewarding piece of work, but it's things that people need to do so that they can be realistic. That is one way. Not the only way. Again, it depends on what you're doing, right?
Right.
I'm talking about if you want to go in as a prime, as in them trading with you firstly directly. The quickest way for you to get involved would be to go in as a subprime, as a tier 2 provider, understand the nature of where you're going, and then obviously get a presence within the country that you want to deliver. And then we're going to work on you being able to deliver work for other people that are there and build up your track record as well at the same time, whilst you're doing the things in the background. So yes, I think 18 to 24 months is a realistic thing. Let's just look at it very plain and simple. Yeah, if you think about the way I describe it, me as a buyer, I operate and I look at the organization as my children. So if I wanted to get a babysitter for my children, and somebody knocked on my door and said, I've just landed in the country last week and I would like to babysit your children, it's going to be unlikely that I'm just going to pick them like that. I'm going to I'm going to need to see some track record, build up some trust, understand where you've done it before, all of these things. And I'd want to probably talk to some of the people that you've done it for over here. All of that takes a bit of time to deliver. So, that applies to any new company. What you need to be able to do is give that organization you're trying to apply to some confidence that you are the correct one. So, I wouldn't place my children into just any and anybody's care. I place my children into people that I trust and love. And, and the same thing applies to my employees or people that patronize my business. So, I have a duty of care over them. So that means what I buy that will ultimately touch them or be, you do that. For example, I'm currently, for a long time, I've been a head of procurement in some NHS hospitals in the UK. So I'm buying all the time, everything you can name, construction to people to products to PPE to chemicals to oxygen, you name it, I'm buying it. Right. So if you imagine I'm buying that and I have a responsibility, one, to the organization, the hospital that I'm buying for, but also the people that patronize that hospital, the patients, which ultimately could be people's family, it could be your family. You would want to know that I've bought from a reputable company, and you want to know that the product that's being used on your loved one or yourself is of the highest quality, and it wasn't just bought from anybody, just a new company that didn't exist, the last month or what have you. You would want that confidence that the product that my staff, my clinicians are using on you are the correct ones. So that means that I have to do due diligence and assess the companies that apply. So you can now think of, I've got to build that type of confidence from somewhere. Somebody just walking into the building, and they do this on a regular basis to just try and sell me any product out of off the shelf in anywhere, in any format. Um, uh, I don't necessarily have confidence in them yet. I'm not saying that I can't get confidence in it. I just do not have confidence yet. And so this applies in any world that you're in. People want to see evidence. They want to see track record. They want to see competency. They want to see a surety in what they're purchasing. And so that takes a bit of time. It's not something that happens just like that. That takes a bit of time. So we've got to be realistic in that.
No, that's good. One of the things I teach on this platform is people do business with people they like and they trust.
Yes, sir.
So I like the
That's right.
analogy you just gave, because you talked about, hey, this is my child. And, maybe this is a product or service need I have. This is important to me. So I'm going to give it
That's
care.
right.
So it's going to be based on a trust relationship. I did a video on the channel talking about relationship building. And it is the currency of business, whether we're talking government contracting.
That's
I don't care what type of business you're in. It is the currency of relationships. And I think far too often, a lot of entrepreneurs get transactional, meaning they just show up because they're trying to get something done and not relational. Now, you can be transactional and make a few dollars, but you're not going to be transactional and make millions of dollars. It's not happening.
Correct. And not consistently either. You might, as I said, the sun might shine on you for one day and something happen. I appreciate that. It does happen every so often, but it won't be consistent. It won't be consistent. And what you'll find is the people that have successful businesses that last these, 10, 20 years, 30 years, generational businesses, are those businesses that understand that specifically. And they spend time building the relationship with the right people, keeping that relationship, building trust in that relation, just like a marriage. You have to invest into it to get something out. And it's the same thing. We are not combatants, buyers and salesmen. We're not combatants. We are partners, inverted commas. We're coming into a marriage to deliver something and produce something. And so if you have a husband and wife that's always in a loggerheads against each other, eventually that relationship will break down. We don't want that. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for people that we can partner with, and we're then going to go forth and multiply. We're going to produce something that's of benefit to this world. And so that's what we're trying to do. So you and the people that I teach is how we cultivate all of those things that create that relationship to continue to be strong, to be healthy and produce what it needs to produce, which is ultimately the requirements of the business and the sales that you want to deliver.
That's good. I know I'm being mindful of time, but I want to ask you a closing question, and I want you to tell the people how to get in touch with you and potentially work with you from an international perspective.
Sure.
But what does a ideal candidate that works with you look like? What do they bring tangibly, intangibly? Go as deep or as narrow or as deep in this question as you want. But what does an ideal candidate look like that works with you and finds success?
That's really good. Okay, so we'll have another number of products based upon the maturity of that individual or company. I teach people how to get into corporate institutions, into corporate opportunities, and that could be anywhere you can be. Many of our students are from all across the world. And let's start here. So maybe you're somebody that wants to start a business. We'll show you how to do that first, that kind of product. So that we have something that relates to that. Then you've got people that have already got a business, they want to expand, and they don't quite know the strategy that they should employ. So we can develop those. So that's the second set. Then you have people that are already quite mature in their business, doing bits, but they want to be better. They want to get these government opportunities. They want to get into new spaces, what have you. Then I have a products for those, if that makes sense. And then, I've got organizations that need a variety of procurement help. They need people to buy for them. They need some strategy. They need to, these are the people that want to make the millions that we're talking about. They want to partner with the correct types of people. Again, we'll apply that type of strategy. And so it really depends on the maturity of that individual in the company. There's not many people I turn away because we've got a product, that we can help them with that. But it's the people that are honest with me to say, this is where I'm at. This is what I can do. This is what I've done before, or this is where I want to get to. Because let's be honest, we're going to ask these questions anyway when I'm buying from you. I'm going to ask you, well, okay, what is your turnover for the last couple of years? What have what have you been delivering? What can you show me history with? What kind of experience is there? It will come out, and then we can work with that. But there's nobody that I can't necessarily work with, except for those people that are unrealistic, in time scales, and unrealistic with what their business and what they've done. And there are plenty of those out there, but they don't quite know it yet. But you know what? Entrepreneurs can really come through. Established businesses are really good. I do a lot of work with established people, established businesses. They've got something as a track record that they've got. And again, I suppose I'm being quite wide because it is wide, because again, it depends on the product or service that you're delivering. You've got a lot of people that are in this in a coaching space or a consultative space. So that's one set of people. Then you've got people that produce an actual item or product, and they want to see what markets they can get to that into. That's another set. Everything, it can be done, but it just needs people that are patient and ready and honest. So if that's you, and if you don't know how to do it, or people that just don't know how to get into what other regions are looking for, or they just want to know a better strategy that stops them from just sending out emails and LinkedIn requests and bits and pieces which they don't get any responses from, or emails, and they don't know how to do that. Why don't you pick up the phone? Why don't you send me a message, and then I'll see if I can help you.
Oh, no, that's amazing. And your contact information is on the screen to Adrian's link tree.
Hit me on the link tree.
You go to his link tree, or in the show notes, you'll also see his Instagram, and jump in his DM, leave him a message, figure out how to work with him so you can start doing business internationally. Anything
the first
you want to say?
I would give people. Yeah, the first part of call I would say, why don't you join our corporate collaborative? It's a free Facebook group. Join in, and then you'll see myself. I'm business partner as well, another strategist, Michelle Raymond, and you will see many people just like yourself from all across the world who join us for some of our Zoom events and our Q&As, so you can ask us anything type of thing. And our we do some strategic training each month on specific subjects, how to do this, how to get into that, what do I need to do, those types of things. And then what you'll find is you'll develop so quickly, you'll partner with some people, and you'll see success much quicker than just trying to do it on your own. But here's one thing I want to leave with people.
Okay.
With this set, coming from a sales background myself, we're taught to go at it quite aggressively, quite knock on as many doors, send as many emails, try and push people down a funnel is now the thing that you've got. All of these things that happen. I'm going to be honest. There are quicker ways for you to achieve what you want to do. Buying teams understand that you're trying to push us down a funnel. It doesn't work. What you do with an individual is different to what you do with a large organization or a medium organization. And at the same time, when you sell to one person, that's one price. But when you sell to many people, which could be sitting in an organization, that's another price. So everything has its benefits to it. But don't try and sit there and bombard everybody with all of these emails and um, uh, LinkedIn requests and phone calls and what have you, when you don't know what they need. You don't know why they need it, when they need it, how they need it. Don't be that salesman that's just putting in letters through somebody's door, hoping that there's people even in the house. Be the person that's educated and apply some strategy. It's time to do it, especially for 2023. You know, link up with people just like Curtis here, link up with other people that you're going to see on this platform, and make sure that you get some strategy, because the strategy is going to help you get there quicker. And that's ultimately what we want for you. We want you to succeed in this year. And, you know, many of you are going to do so. Take it up. There's opportunity now. You've been praying for this. Now it's in front of you.
No, that's amazing. I mean, everything you say is the same thing that I teach my students. You know, Adrian, I thank you. And we're going to do another one of these. I thank you
We're
for
going to do
taking
many
time.
more, I'm sure. Yeah.
And you know, we're gonna have you back, talk about, I know, some other stuff that you have up your sleeves. But one of the things we want to do on this platform is introduce my friends to the platform, so that, you know, there's a lot of misinformation on YouTube. And so one of the things, one of the charters I've personally taken up is to, number one, be a space where we're going to give you actionable, legal, ethical information, and then introduce you
Really?
to other players in this space that are going to do likewise. They may do things differently than me, and that's okay. But to make sure that you're going to deal with integral people that are not out for a quick buck. They're going to practice what they preach, and they're going to push you down a right path. And Adrian's one of those people. So his information is on the screen. I'm gonna put his details also in the description box, and I encourage you to send him messages and figure out how to work with him so that you can expand your business if you're already doing government contracting in the US, or if you just want to do business overseas. Reach out to Adrian and figure out how you can begin working with him and build a solid, strong foundation that's going to allow you to you know, you take care of your business is going to take care of you.
That's right. That's right.
All
That's
right,
right.
Adrian, it was a pleasure.
It's always a
And I
pleasure talking
thank
to you,
you
brother.
I thank you for joining in today. I look forward to seeing you really soon. I'm gonna get to the UK and spend some
Definitely.
time with you. I'm looking forward to that. My wife and I, we're gonna come out and hang out. So I'm looking forward to that.
That's really cool.
And for the
Same
rest
here,
of my,
definitely.
man, I always a pleasure. I appreciate you. I appreciate the brotherhood. And I take my relationships very seriously, and I'm thankful. But for everyone
Definitely.
else, you know, this has been another episode. We are going to get ready to tune out. If you have not subscribed, definitely comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. So anytime we're on, you're going to get a notification. And I'm going to see you in the next video. Now, I'm going to link up some other videos you can go back and watch, and go watch some of my other videos. There's going to be some great content in there. And next week, same back time, same back channel, you're going to get another video from me. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I appreciate you subscribing, listening, commenting, and sharing. And have a great day. Until next time.